those that actually came down to our office because I understand it's raining outside. So thank you for really spending the time with us. For those actually joining us on our online, any point of time, if you have any questions, feel free to drop your questions on our social media, or you can actually call into our offices. We always have consultants here ready to actually answer your queries. So let's actually get started. Alright, great. So again, let me just first introduce myself. So my name is Ray. I'm actually one of the immigration consultants here in the Singapore offices. And just to cover about what we'll be doing today. So at the start, I'll be just sharing with you a bit about our company background and what we actually do and how we actually started. Next, I'll be touching a bit about the Australia migration, followed by the Canada, and then of course common questions that people usually ask these days. Today's session will not be touching a lot with regards to how the points test works, which skill is actually better, but I'll be covering a bit more in depth about like what is the chances of actually getting selected, because this is actually one of the common questions that a lot of our maybe new people that are considering putting in an application. This is always the question is asking. They always ask us about COVID period, how's the situation like. So that will be what I'll be doing. After the whole session, we'll do a breakout session. And for those that's online, what is the breakout session is that we're going to do a points eligibility check with you, followed by we'll do a migration timeline. And then, of course, specific to your occupation, we also share about what are the opportunities for you to actually get selected. Yeah. Okay, so a bit about AIMS. So AIMS has been around since 2006. So it means that we have been running, this year will be our 15th year. How we actually started is that from two people, just from my lady boss and my boss, two people started the business, and we call ourselves AIMS Immigration Specialist, AIMS, which stands for Australia Immigration Specialist. So we were actually solely just focused on doing Australia skilled migration back then. And like most companies, we have our vision and our mission. So our vision is we want to be the most reputable in this industry. And for our vision, we always make sure that we'll be able to provide you the solutions to actually getting your PR status or whichever other status that you're actually aiming for. As for our core values, we go by push, and every individual letter has its own representative, as in their own meaning. In short, a lot of people always don't like to be pushed to make a decision. You all want to have a surety, you want to be guaranteed. And for us, what we see is that when it comes to getting selected, there is no guarantee. There is not going to be anybody that can tell you you're at 50% chance of getting or 90% chance. It's because, again, the country is the one that selects you, not us. What our company is doing is to make sure that your profile is as best as possible for you to get selected. Secondly, there are things that we have no control of, such as possibly like your age. Every year we are growing older, you lose points because of age. There are things such as migration rules that changes that we have no control of. If today you are eligible, does not mean 1 year later the migration rules will stay the same, and it has happened before. Thirdly is health conditions, because you need to do medical clearance at the end of the day. If today you are healthy and unfortunately something were to happen, or your partner or probably your children have an illness, it also means that probably that is the end of the route already when it comes to trying to attain your PR through this skilled migration. So when you say push, reason being is because as long as you are eligible, you should be really considering very hard to put in your application, because you will never know whether or not you're going to get selected. So this is our presence over the country. Mainly, we are very focused in the Asia Pacific. So now, currently, we are, like I mentioned, two people. We started from two people. Right now, we have 300 immigration professionals in our company. We are 12 officers over in 10 different countries. We don't do only Australia. We actually do 30 over different countries right now. And of course, we have already helped over 18,000 families. So these are all the countries that we actually help. In any event, if any of these other countries is of interest, feel free to approach us and you can actually share more about it. So today I'll be doing about Australia and Canada. In terms of our services, today's concentration will be on skilled migration. However, we also focus a lot on investor and entrepreneur, because those are alternative pathways for you to actually obtaining your PR. We also do relocation, citizenship if needed as well. So now comes the point, like, why choose AIMS? So AIMS has really been around for 14 years, and this year will be our 15th year. We don't cover just doing skilled migration. We are really a full spectrum of service, meaning today is a start to end relationship. After when you get your PR, if you actually need assistance in relocation, you need assistance to give advice in terms of finding for schools, we actually have other entities in our company that will be able to assist you in this area. So you are actually getting, using our professional advisors, our experience of 14 years in your whole application, dedicated consultant. Whenever you come on board as a client, you'll be assigned what we call a documentation specialist. So this person is skilled in handling documents for your specific group, meaning to say, if you come on board as a skilled migration client, this documentation specialist only focuses on doing skilled migration. They are not doing cross countries, or like if they're doing Australia, they don't do both Australia and Canada. Then if they are doing skilled migration, they don't touch investors. So they are doing purely just your skilled migration. So that's why we call like dedicated consultants. This is also very important to me. We are fully licensed. So this is actually our Mara agent registration number. All of this is more immigration lawyer related. So a lot of people ask, like, why do I actually need an immigration lawyer? Yeah, if I do an application your own, in the sense, there are some scenarios where your application can get rejected. And when you get rejected, they'll give you a rejection reason. So some of the rejection reason may be a bit unreasonable. So that's where the migration lawyers will come into place. If you are doing it on your own, again, it means that you have to, when that happens, and if it happens, then you have to start searching for a solution again. But if you come aboard as a client, again, it's a full spectrum of service, everything will be covered. All right? So now we'll be touching on a bit about the Australia migration. So in the sense why people are considering Australia is because usually they want to be somewhere closer to home. So probably the closest place is probably Perth, 4 hours away, and if you go to Sydney, 7 hours away. That's what I mean by closer. So what you're actually getting out of it is that you'll be enjoying the free education, world-class education. Universities, in Singapore, if you want to send your kids to universities, if you are unable to go to local unis, at the end of the day, you are sending them to Monash, Kaplan. A lot of them are Australian universities in Singapore. So again, if you are Australian PR, all of these will be heavily subsidized. Quality of life is, again, more balanced lifestyle. A lot of times people find the reason why they want to migrate is because the pace of life in Singapore is a bit harsh, and they want to find something more balanced where probably they want to spend more time with their kids if they have. And these are the common reasons why they're actually migrating. So this skilled migration, as I mentioned earlier, I will not be really going down into detail like what is your individual points, because we'll have a breakout session and we'll be doing it for you later. But these are the common criteria to check whether or not you're eligible. So you must be in the age group of 18 to 44. The usual basis is you will only accept people at 43 and a half. Reason being is because it will take you an average 6 months before you can lodge your application. And the moment you hit 45, you become not eligible anymore. So even if you come in at 43 half, it means that you only have 1 year to try. 1 year of every month draws to try to get selected before you become not eligible anymore. Second thing is the skill assessment. Based on individual occupation, there will be different assessing authorities. So this is where we need to actually know in terms of your job description and what you actually do before we can actually suggest what occupation we are actually suggesting to nominate you under. Of course, you need to be competent in English. You need to take the general IELTS for most. Some occupations you need to take the academic IELTS, or optionally, you can take the PTE. There is a minimum requirement that you need to meet, and again, during the free assessment, we will be doing it, we will be sharing with you more. When you are selected, you must go through a medical requirement. You need to pass all the terminal illnesses, you don't have it. You need to prove that you're medically fit, and only then that's how you actually get the approval. And the minimum points to get to actually be eligible to apply is you need to meet 65 points. There are actually 3 different visas for Australia: 189, 190, and 491. 189 and 190 are both direct PRs, and the difference is just that 190 is a state sponsorship whereby you have an obligation to stay in the state for at least 2 years. It's a moral obligation. Okay. The third one is a 491. This is not a direct PR. This is actually a provisional visa. Okay, and there's a requirement for you to work and stay in the regional area for 3 years before you can actually convert to become a PR. All 3 subclasses still allow you to enter Australia and to work there. And to us, this is the key thing you need to be actually doing. The difference in all these 3 visas is that some of them have more restrictions, and with more restrictions, they give you additional points. So the subclass 491, they give you additional 15 points. So later on, we'll be covering it more in depth in the breakout session. So for Australia, New Zealand, when you get the Australian PR, you actually directly get the New Zealand residency. Unlike if you go for the New Zealand, you don't automatically get the Australian residency. So some of our clients that are aiming for New Zealand, they will still go through Australia. So today what will be happening is consult us at AIMS. We will be doing the free assessment to share with you on your eligibility, followed by, if you are privileged enough to actually work with you to start your application, we will be preparing documents to submit the skill assessment. Only during this period and after you complete the IELTS, your application will start to be considered in the pool for selection. Then of course there will be a waiting time to express the interest, followed by the state sponsorship, which will all be done by our company. and then you'll be waiting for the visa approval. So now comes to the common question, like, in this current scenario, what's the chance of getting selected? So truth be told, is in 2020 for Australia is a bit tough. So it's been very slow, and again, Australia will not very open. You can always go to Home Affairs website to check. In January, they actually started giving out more quotas as compared to the previous few months. What I want to stress on is that the minimum point selection is actually at 65 right now in Jan. All right. And the next question is people always pose to us is, what about the state sponsorship? Is it open to offshore? I heard that it's not open. Yes, it wasn't open for a few months. And the thing is, what we can see is that we announced that there's 2 territories, that Tasmania and New South Wales actually announced that they are opening up the state. So what I'm trying to show you is, a lot of people ask me when is the best chance or when is the best timing. And honestly, there is no such thing as best timing. The only best timing to put in your application is really when you are still eligible, because there will come a day that you become not eligible anymore. And right now, being eligible at 65 points, the minimum points is 65 points for you to get selected. Now is whether or not in your occupation, is it in the highest in demand? And when it comes to highest demand, if you're going back to state sponsorship, as I mentioned, the states are opening up. And currently it's 2 states out of the many states. So if you view that as an opportunity, some may say it's an opportunity. Some may say, no, I want to wait until all the states open up before I start. But you must always remember that in terms of, when is a good time, you need to always reach this stage first. Because only when you reach this stage, which will take you an average of 3 to 5 months. Fastest case, 3 months, on average, 5 months to 6 months. You need to reach this stage before your application can actually be considered. So if the states open up for your occupation, but your application is not ready, and then you start, by then the window of opportunity closed for you already, because the quota will be filled up already. It's very, very fast now. I want to show you these few. These are all actually provisional visas, meaning to say these are granted. They are granted, they're given out recently, and this is approved clients from previously. But what I'm showing you is that all of these actually came in February, and mostly in February. They were granted in February. And why I'm showing you this is because they were selected last time, but it was all done in February. So in my point of view, things are happening. So that's why everything is moving faster now. But back then when it got selected, it took very long for them to even get granted. Yeah, okay? So that's a bit about Australia. Now we move on to Canada. Why Canada? In terms of the healthcare system and the education system is very similar to Australia. Cost of living is cheaper, and when I say it's cheaper, I'm comparing it to Singapore. Points test-wise is also due with age, education, IELTS, work experience. If you are fortunate enough to have a way to get arranged employment in Canada, that is definitely a plus point. And for you to be eligible, you just need to meet 67 points, and this is actually very easy. In terms of getting selected, we use what we call the Comprehensive Ranking System, CRS, or some people know it as the Express Entry Points Test. And this is out of 1,002. Most people will only be subjected to 600 points, and maximum points on each category based on age, education. Again, all of this will be covering later on when we are doing the breakout session. Okay. This is something I want you to take note. For you to get optimum points, the recommended English IELTS exam is actually listening 8, reading, writing, speaking, all 7. The reason because is when you keep this, you can see that it affects difference of 25 points in a lot of category. Yeah, so by just one IELTS results, your points change can be easily 70 points difference. So that is something that you have to take a note of. Okay. Okay, the last thing I want to stress on is this PMP. So as I mentioned, 1,200, 600 points is actually in the normal calculation, 600 points is in actually PMP. Right. So when we are doing provision nomination, right, there are many provinces in Canada, right, that you are required to actually have a job there before you can actually apply for this provision nomination. However, what we are trying to do is we are going to explore those provinces that don't require you to be onshore. You can apply as offshore, and there will be. So if you have relatives or cousins that are staying in Canada, please share with us, because there are some provinces that gives you a way hell of advantage and it's like more or less confirmed you will get the provincial nomination if your relatives are actually staying there. Okay? So this is a process that you're looking at. Engage aims, or rather today is more of a consultancy, a free assessment to understand the process first. If you choose to engage us, we will apply the express entry for you, followed by only then we can actually start to apply for the provincial nomination. So there will be a waiting time. Provincial nomination is not something that will be, not all provinces do it every single month. Some provinces is maybe once every 3 months, and that's something that you have to always be keeping a lookout for. Okay, so a bit about what's the chances for Canada. Right, so these are all news online. Okay, so Canada already said that they want to fill up 430,000 jobs. They announced. Okay, but the key thing is when it comes to what's the chances of getting selected, everybody like to ask like, can I guarantee you? Can AIMS guarantee? And truth is I cannot guarantee you, but I can share with you all the facts. Okay, so the facts is that they already announced that 2021 onwards to 2023, they are looking to invite 1.2 million people. And in short, that would mean 400,000 every year, 30,000 every month. Okay, this is what they say. Okay, so now how do we validate whether or not, now I see the points is very high, 468. But I want to stress to you in 2017, right, it's 413. Okay, 413. That is the all-time low. And on average, right, if you see in 2017, it's all in the range of 430. Again, you have to speculate whether or not you want to believe whether the points will really drop so low, but I really cannot guarantee you. But if you put into how fast they are inviting people, ever since they started in October, they are inviting very close to 10,000 to 15,000 every single month. And from 478, now it dropped to 468. If they continue the same pace, you have to make your own personal guess whether or not will it reach whichever points you are. So this is things that you need to know what's happening. Okay? And in February itself, they actually invited 27,000 people in one single draw. But these people are all what we call Canadian experience class, meaning to say they are working in Canada. So that's nothing related to me. But if they really issue 27,000 in a single month, it means that come May or come June, if they start to invite the express entry offshore applicants, how much quota are they really giving? If they really issue 15,000, 20,000 every single month, actually your chances for these 3 years is very big for Canada application. These are for people who are considering Canada. Okay, again, it's just speculation. You have to also make the fair guess. My take is that if they really honor even the provincial nomination, quota should go up. And Newfoundland and Labrador is a very new province that opened up in Canada. It opened up in January. And it has never happened before. It has always been onshore only. And there's so many other provinces that don't allow offshore applicants at the moment. So if a new province actually can open up in January, again, you have to start to guess whether or not other provinces will open up. And if other provinces open up, you can only take advantage of it if, again, your application is in. If you are at a site waiting to wait for your application to put in is 3 months for Canada. So this is all the considerations. All right. So now I will take on any questions. I don't mind handling any questions. If not, we will do a breakout session whereby a consultant will help you do the points test for the country that you are actually choosing. So any questions on the floor? No? Okay, can. So for those online, again, feel free to drop us a message, call our number if you actually want to arrange for a free consultation whereby we'll go through the points test and the country of choice. Thank you so much for actually joining us.